DNVR Draft Pod. Oh man, as always, coming to you live from the DNVR studios, not the Toyota Lounge today, but shout out to our good friends at Toyota. Come join us in the Toyota chat. You guys always have some hot takes, so I'm interested to see those. And I'm cracking up, can barely even talk coming on air. It's because we've got the man, the myth, the legend, our Broncos insider, Big Hank. Henry Chisholm is how you know him. I mean, what a time to be alive having you back on the pod.
Yeah.
How are you doing, my friend?
Oh, it's great. You know, like I said, I had that radio hit at 7:30 this morning.
Yeah.
Got to, remote pod. So I got to stay home and do that one from home. And then went to practice.
Sun's out now, so that's great.
Media after practice. And now this. And we'll get writing done during Thursday Night Football. And we're going to be set.
Love it. Yep. I'm going to have some betting questions for you later. But for now, we're just going to let you sit back. You study. You watch the Broncos all day, every day, all season long. I'm going to pitch you some upgrades.
Ooh.
That's right.
Ooh.
You ready for some pitches? So there you go.
Like Barry Bonds.
That's how we're going to start this. It's a little bit of a continuation off of our topic from last week's pod where we talked best AFC West fits. It's a class that just gets me more and more excited at some really key positions for the Broncos, Hank. Running back, wide receiver, tight end. Skill positions on offense.
Yeah.
Which I think we can agree, probably the biggest need right now.
Yeah. No, we've got a bunch of numbers to back that up. Can you name the two NFL teams that only have one wide receiver with 200 receiving yards this season?
Broncos are one.
Yeah, you got me.
Panthers are the other.
No, the Titans. Because they traded DeAndre Hopkins before he got there. And then they also played one fewer game. Otherwise, Tyler Boyd's on pace to have 200 himself. So,
what's Ridley doing?
He's the one who has 200. Yep.
There you go.
Yep.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's a fun one.
There's some fun tight end stats, too. Only the Colts don't have a tight end with more yards than Adam Troutman, the Broncos' leading tight end.
They have yet to figure out tight
anything.
End. Yeah.
Well, the defense. The defense.
Also, the tight end free agency class, have you looked at it?
I have.
Not great.
Which was kind of the case for making a weird trade. It's like you go get David Njoku because, hey, is he perfect? Is he, you know, like you're probably overpaying a little bit by adding him at this point. But you lock him up for 2 years and then you get to figure it out later.
Njoku's the classic younger than you'd think guy, too.
Yeah. 28.
But yeah, we talked about some of the tight end. It's Conklin and then, I don't know, Juwan Johnson, Gesicki, Ertz. Not great.
No, certainly not well-rounded players.
Should we start there? Should I pitch you on some tight ends?
Yes, let's start there.
Because would you believe it? It's a nice little tight end class.
Well, I do know of Colston Loveland.
Yes.
Because he's one of those who like you watch and then you say like, wait, who is that guy? Who's number 18? And so you Google him and you're like, wait, he's a freshman? And so obviously the story was 2 years ago. But so yeah, we've just been waiting for Colston Loveland for a while.
He's the ideal move tight end, right?
Yep.
And even in this horrible Michigan passing offense the last couple weeks, he's really come alive. They're finding ways to get him touches. He's a great weapon in the slot. They like to move him around the formation, you know, even try to find easy, quick ways to get him the ball. He's got the size. He'll never be a true inline tight end, but he's got enough blocking skills to be, you know, to give you 20 snaps a game in that role, even though his blocking's going to underwhelm you some. And yeah, he's probably the most ideal Sean Payton tight end you could find out there.
Yep.
I wouldn't call him Jimmy Graham, but that's the type of tight end this is. And he comes from Michigan, so he's like pro ready. He's gotten some real coaching and some scheme pieces. With where the Broncos could potentially draft in the mid first round or even in the low 20s if they got into the playoffs, Loveland seems like of all the obvious names Broncos fans may be thinking of, the one who most plausibly could be a target in the first round and is still there.
Yeah, totally. And I struggle with tight ends in the first round. You know, I don't buy too deep into like the positional value thing, but just when you watch how careers develop at that position, like you even look at a David Njoku. It's like year 6, people are still saying like, oh, first round bust. And now all of a sudden, after last year, he makes it to the Pro Bowl and he goes and does all things. It seems like that story is just kind of common. You know, Evan Ingram's had a bit of that. Another potential trade target at the deadline. And you get some of those. But even like a Kyle Pitts, 1,000 yards, Pro Bowl as a rookie, hasn't been like horrible, but it's still just seen as this disappointment. So I think the standards are so high, and I think transitioning to the NFL where, you know, if you're a solid blocker in college, now you're like, you can't ask him to block in the NFL. Like,
correct.
I think that just the body type and all those things, and so much nuance at that position.
Yes. Like quarterback, it's one that it takes a while to grow into.
Totally. And so
Laporta's early success is a complete anomaly, right?
But you even look at like a TJ Hawkinson. Where it's like the Lions were willing to trade him because like he was solid, but he was nothing special. But year three or year 4, he goes to Minnesota, and all of a sudden he starts to really put things together. Like it just feels like
it's a developmental position.
You're taking a lot of time for a first round pick, and then you throw in like positional value. And it's like it's a tough sell. But I do love obviously Colston Loveland.
Colston Loveland's really nice. No, and I agree. I mean, especially with how stacked these wide receiver and running back classes, there is an opportunity cost to going with the tight end in run 1. That's going to be a bit harder to swallow. Tyler Warren would be the next tight end I'd pitch you. Have you seen this guy, Penn State? Wild man.
I don't think so.
Where's number 44? A little flow out the...
A little stockier? Yeah. He made a big play.
Against USC, makes a game-winning touchdown catch.
I do remember him.
And game-winning touchdown... makes a touchdown pass, runs in a touchdown. He's been a beast.
No, and he's one who you think potentially could do it all. I'm not sure how tall he is. He's kind of wide. Which makes me wonder if he's a little bit stockier than he is actually like lanky and long, which is what you're kind of looking for at this point.
I think my best comp is Kittle.
That one did cross my mind when I was watching him.
Bull in a china shop, run you over, break tackles, contested catches. Yeah, he's not like maybe the biggest mismatch threat in the history of the world, but he's just like, you know, he's a dude.
Get him the ball and watch him work.
Yeah, you want him on offense, you know.
Yep. I think there's value. You know, again, this is
what up, Matthew C.
Trade deadline talk. You know, it's like, there's Evan Ingram and David Njoku. There's also just like potentially Hunter Henry out there, who's a guy who can do a lot of different things. And you can just plug him into the system and he'll just be an upgrade over what you have. You know, you don't have to worry too much about how do you fit him in or what plays do you need to call. It's just he elevates. And that's what I see. Again, from like the one game against USC where I was like, oh, this guy's sick.
Which was like the game. He's top 10 in the Big Ten in receiving, but 250 of almost 500 yards came in that game. This guy that you haven't heard of, Harold Fannin Jr., Bowling Green, top 10 in the country. Little move tight end, really more fullback sized, like 6'4", 240 plus. But I mean, the numbers he's putting up are incredible. He's seen as more of an H-back. That's not really where he's playing right now. He's used as like a true move tight end, like a flex tight end, a slot tight end.
Do you have the numbers? Because the numbers were crazy.
Yes, and now of course they're even crazier. 6'4", 230 pounds. Canton, Ohio. He has 73 receptions, 1,033 yards, and 66 touchdowns.
So, just for perspective, what's Travis Hunter at for receiving yards? Like 800 or so?
Yeah, he's ahead of Travis.
By like 200 yards.
Yeah.
That's obviously nothing against Travis Hunter.
No,
and
but
you sent the teams he played, too.
Yes, he's lit up some very high-end opponents. He's lighting up everyone, frankly.
Yeah.
You know, Penn State, he went for 11 grabs, 137 yards. Texas A&M, 8 grabs, 145 yards. He's just been a phenom this season, and I don't think you'd have to spend... Travis Hunter, by comparison, has 60 catches, so That's 13 fewer. 757 yards. He does have 8 touchdowns, which is 2 more than Fannin Jr. Yeah, Fannin Jr. would just be so fun. I think he goes top 50.
You'd have to think, right?
Yeah.
Like, again, I haven't watched him play, and I don't know the measurables, and maybe there are some like flaws there.
He runs pretty fast.
I mean, if you're going for 150 yards as a tight end against Penn State, like, I mean, yeah.
So I think you'll be willing to sacrifice the fact that he's undersized at 6'4", 230. I think Ingram's probably his best comp.
Oh.
Like this whole like thinking he's going to be a juiced up Kyle Juszczyk. I think he's just Evan Ingram. That like a move tight end who's a smidge undersized.
That makes sense.
And then Mason Taylor of LSU. Jason Taylor's son.
Yep, I have heard of him.
Good blocker. Every LSU game I watch, he's making plays one way or another in the receiving game. Yak, as a blocker, he really reminds me of Trey McBride. He's like not going to have Trey McBride's production because Trey McBride just had insane production in that yucky offense. But he has a lot of that where it's like, he's not Gronk sized, but I like him as a blocker. He's not lighting the world on fire like Colston Loveland or Warren or Harold Fannin. But I see those splashes where like I think he could be a really high-end receiver. And I like him. So yeah, I guess the question is, are you more for like just figure out your inline tight end and like have a set it and forget it starter? Or is that something where plausibly, because it's so hard to develop tight ends, you get that veteran to fill that role, and you're more intrigued in just adding a weapon, adding a mismatch guy?
It's tough. I'd probably go with an inline. I think that when you just look at, like, who do you want right now in the NFL? First, like, you want George Kittle. You want Travis Kelce.
Yeah.
Kelce maybe, he's an inline guy. You got to give him credit. Like, there's...
Yeah, 100%.
Definitely. Mark Andrews. Kelce.
Mark Andrews a bit of a move tight end.
True. And even Kelce, our friend James Palmer has made the point before where it's like he doesn't really block so much as like, you know, he gets in the way of the guy for a second and turns around and catches the ball. And you're like,
that is blocking.
It works
He's
out.
an effective blocker. I would add Sam Laporta, who I think we've kind of forgotten about. And Trey McBride.
Absolutely. Another one, And I to me, the value is in that matchup nightmare where you have to make the defense decide. Like, are we playing you as a blocker, as a receiver? And if you just add, like, if the Broncos had traded for Evan Ingram, you just go nickel against the Broncos. Teams want to go nickel against, I guess, in 2 tight end sets. Teams want to go nickel if they can cheat into that. And when you just have that move tight end, it allows teams to do that, which is what they're hunting at this point. So I think I want the inline guy who can be here for 10, 15 years. If you're spending that high draft pick, and in particular because there's none of those guys in the free agency that you're going to like.
100%. And look, maybe Mason Taylor, Sean Payton worked in Louisiana for many, many years. True. Maybe he's got an inside track of sorts.
No, I think his son's at A&M now. Mason Taylor,
there's no Jason Taylor connections,
You'll remember Cole Taylor, tight end from Colorado, Dungeon family.
Yeah.
Also tight end at LSU. Must have transferred out, but I was so confused that first game where Mason Taylor was playing USC, and I was like, wait, is that Cole Taylor? And then, but that's I'm a Mason Taylor.
So Mason Taylor's your choice?
I think so. I mean, that Penn State guy also just looks like a dude.
He really does. He'd be so fun.
Yeah.
And there's part of me that thinks like what Sean Payton could do with Jimmy Graham.
Yeah, totally.
But you know, the beauty of Jimmy Graham is he found him in the 6th round. He's a former basketball player.
Totally. Yeah.
So
I mean, I think if you're Sean Payton, you want 3 tight ends, one guy who can do it all, one guy who can block, one guy who can catch. And right now, you've got those 3 guys in Troutman, and then Kroll or Dulcich, whichever one it is that week, and recently it's Kroll, and then Adkins. I think all 3 of those guys could probably be upgraded. The pure blocker, you probably don't worry too much about because you already have Adkins.
You can find those guys,
So there's room to upgrade either.
Yeah, and I didn't pitch you on any pure blockers because didn't think that was necessary.
Undrafted free agents.
Yeah, undrafted free agents indeed. We've got people in the Toyota chat. What up, Blake? What up, Cedric? What up, Matthew? Throwing out some wide receivers for us, including Tez Johnson, former Bo Nix, and Torrey Horton, CSU star, who's out for the season. We'll get into that in just a second on the other side of this break, where I want to tell you about our good friends of Coors Light. You know, Hank, strange days. Strange days.
Very strange.
Strange days. It gets darker. It gets weirder.
Yeah.
Stuff's going on.
Sure is.
And sometimes you just got to detach, you know? Find things that relax you. Choose chill, if you will.
I love to choose chill.
You know, in fact, the snow, I've kind of enjoyed it. Gives me a reason to go outside, do the old, what do you call that?
Shovel?
Shovel the
There
driveway.
we go.
I always call it scraping, but scraping is wrong. Don't say scraping the driveway. That's
I remember when
incorrect.
Marvin Mims got his first car scraper.
Uh-huh.
I said, what is this for?
Yeah.
And I was told, wipe your windshield. And he said, well, what do you do with the road?
Wow.
Yep.
Wow.
That was a fun conversation.
Marvin's choosing chill in that situation. More of a literal chilling his hands because he's not properly equipped.
Yeah.
You can choose chill too with Coors Light. Had one beginning of the week at the bar, end of the day. Ooh, it hit the spot. Was delightful and delicious. Went down so easy breezy. Make the most out of the times you choose to chill. Choose Coors Light. Get Coors Light delivered straight to your door with Instacart by going to CoorsLight.com/DNVR. Celebrate responsibly. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. And of course, we will have our picks for week 11 of the college football season. Always on Bet365. They are the true homies.
They are.
They are so great to work with. The only place you can use our code DNVR365 at sign up to get, after your first bet, $5 or more, $150 in bonus bets. Use the QR code right there. The only place where you find our custom bets and the only place where new customers at sign up here in Colorado using our code will get 2 months of Altitude Plus on our good friends at Bet365. Quite the deal. How are your bets going lately, Hank?
They're going spectacular.
Yes?
No, it's been pretty awesome.
That's great.
Yeah, no.
Oh my gosh.
The most recent, last night.
Yeah.
Went to the Nuggets game.
Yeah.
Money line plus 230. Didn't take it. Waited, grabbed plus 360. And
Look
then that
at
one hit.
that.
Yep,
Look at that.
That's
The
pretty
kind
good.
of stuff you can do with our friends at Bet365. So great. Use our code if you're new at signing up, or check out our custom bets if you have already. Must be 21 plus and physically located in Colorado. Please gamble responsibly. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, wants help, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. Chat's talking wide receivers. Torrey Horton, part of another segment I have planned for Hank to see how injury adverse he is.
Ooh.
Yeah. I bet you've read like some study written in the Ivy League about taking risks on injured prospects.
I actually have not. I wonder if you could find one, though. I'm sure somebody's done the research.
Well, today I used ChatGPT for the first time. So frankly, the world, I know no bounds. I might as well be Aladdin and found the genie's lamp, you know, so if I can think it, I can do it. But if the chat's thinking wide receiver, let's talk wide receiver. Henry, Sean Payton, bit of a wide receiver, big wide receiver obsession. And I guess this has been going on since the Saints. But the guys he's drafting, they're more speedsters. And these speedsters, they're coming from these college offenses, Henry, that frankly aren't giving them a well-rounded, this is well-rounded, fleshed out maybe, route tree.
Yep.
It's all screens and go routes and slants. And I don't think they're ready to play Sean Payton ball. So what is it? Is it size? Is it speed? Or do we just need someone who can have a little more route tree experience, huh?
It's just so tough to say that after you just traded Jerry Jeudy away, which was absolutely the right move. You know, and it's like there were other flaws. You have to be able to catch the football being the big one. Yeah, but I think
also that was a Russell Wilson offense. You know, everything was different.
Yep, and I think with Sean, you have to start by saying he doesn't. he doesn't necessarily want to have like wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3. Like he just wants to have a pool of guys. And I think he would say he doesn't even necessarily need like a number 1 alpha type, but you look back at what he's done.
History-ish.
Yeah, but
New Orleans would
it's back and forth.
Suggest that's true.
You have Marcus Colston, Michael Thomas, but there's other times you don't have it. And so I think.
But even those guys, were they glorified 2s that really in that offense were able to pop like 1s? But in most offenses are more glorified 2s, you know?
Yeah. So I think for him, it's more of like what is in your arsenal. It isn't so much like, can we get a guy who does this? So it's more about what are the holes. And I think right now the holes are, like you said, somebody who can get open, but then also make tough catches. Because you have your one tough catch guy. And honestly, Marvin Mims maybe counts as a second. I don't know that it's fleshed out enough, but knowing that he made those tough catches at Oklahoma, he's kind of made them when he's gotten opportunities.
He's got that gear.
And it's just tough when he isn't open to throw him the ball, so they just haven't done it. Because again, the route tree. So I think somebody with some, ideally with size. Sean really likes big receivers who can block. He also has drafted the 2 draft picks, or the 2 fast guys who just run. Well, plus Bailey. Bailey's also draft pick, barely, but draft pick. So yeah, there's
that's actually an important point,
and it's a tough. It's just figuring out what is missing, more so.
Well, I wonder if what is missing is a guy like Emeka Buka, who Jolene in the Toyota chat shouts out. 6'1", 205. He has his breakout season 2 years ago, when Jackson Smith and Jigba was the star of that receiving core. Then, Marvin Harrison Jr. has his final season. He's kind of injured. Now he's back. He's up there in the Big Ten receiving rankings. Great route runner, has good size, has shown the ability to make the tough catches away from his body. I like his hands. Look, it's not Tertoria McMillan, massive wide receiver. It's not the speedsters and Luther Burden at Missouri, or an Isaiah Bond at Texas, who I think would fit really nicely in Denver, but are kind of having down years and are kind of boomer. Every play's a bit boomer bust.
Definitely.
Egbuka feels the upside, the ceiling isn't as high, but I think the floor is really high, and he could really complement the rest of the group. If you just want another big contested catch guy, Jaden Higgins at Iowa State is a man. He's like 6'4", 210. He just went off this week despite the Cyclones losing. He had a massive game. He really reminds me of a more physical Cortland Sutton. I think Sutton's got a little more bounciness and mid-ball, like the ability to adjust his body mid-air. That's, freakish. I mean, I can't do that. And Higgins is a bit more size. And then I wonder, Tay Felton, way up there in the Big Ten rankings for wide receiver receiving yards. He might be the speedster of this class. Maryland wide receiver Tay Felton just had another big game this last week. And then the last one I'll pitch to you is Jalen Royals. Comes from Utah State. Very spready offense.
Yes.
And he's like 5'11", 205. So he's got that kind of Debo-esque build. And even though he is bigger, he reminds me a bit of Corey Coleman at Baylor, which I know didn't quite pan out. But like,
he was exciting.
He would be a fun guy to just put the ball in his hands. You'd have him, might be available in the 3rd round. So those would be the guys I'd kind of pitch you outside of the obviouses. And then I don't know if you know about Xavier Restrepo, the little slot at Miami. Wonder if they could use someone like that. He just went off this week against Duke in a fun little game. Yeah, that was a fun
surprisingly fun.
Yeah.
Was not supposed to be fun at all. Yeah, I think it's just tough. It's tough. I think Egbuka would make a lot of sense. You can't go wrong drafting an Ohio State receiver at this point. Like, there are just very few examples of it not working.
They have a nice track record.
They're batting like 800 in the past decade.
They really are.
Yeah, so I don't think you could go wrong there. Again, I haven't watched a whole bunch of Ohio State.
The offense isn't exhilarating, man.
Yeah.
Like, every prospect from that school, and I think I was saying this last year as well, I think their stock has, like, dipped a little.
As it probably should.
Not great. It's not a great scenario to be in.
No.
But they're, like, 3rd in the country, and,
That is true.
Like, They lost by like 4 points.
That's true. It's just, I know. It is also tough just thinking about these receivers because I think like the speed receivers who have been drafted have panned out pretty well. It feels like. It feels like I've kind of leaned more toward the size and haven't loved the results.
I always go back and forth on that.
Yes.
I felt that the size wide receivers are the guys who have more panned out.
Interesting. This might be a whole nother.
When's the last
this is a great offseason podcast.
You feel?
I mean, Neighbors this year is a great example.
Yeah.
And that's recent.
Yeah, and worthy neighbors. Like you feel pretty good about that.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think, Marvin Harrison Jr. is I don't know if he even counts in the size group because it's like, that's true. He's just a freak.
Yeah, I mean, last year you have Zay Flowers.
Yeah,
just put up big numbers.
And Addison too.
True. Yeah, more speed than size for sure.
Quentin Johnson's coming around. I mean, last week was a big week for all those sophomore wide receivers. Jackson Smith and Jigba, who's kind of neither one nor the other. You know, he's more the route agility guy.
Again, the tough part with drafting a speed receiver is just that
the tough part about
you have two.
You have two, and at least this time, maybe draft one who can run some routes. Like Torrey Horton has size, he's got some route running skills, and he's got some speed.
And
you just got to wait for him on the ACL. Yeah. But you might be able to get him at a value because
true. And I would love that. I think that'd be a great idea.
I mean, right. We all want 6 third-round picks and just take the guys who drop there. But at some point, you got to pull the trigger on some first and second rounders, too.
It's true. I think when it comes to receivers, we'll know a lot more by the end of the year. I think that the second half of this season, like, you're going to have some separation.
Guys have some big opportunities.
Troy Franklin, whoever. But
even
it's just tough to say now.
Like, can he ascend to really feel like, they just need to re-sign him? He's like Knicks' one.
$15 million salary next year, totally or not guaranteed at all.
Yeah.
So it's your choice. It's basically a team option. Do you want to give him that? And I think it's a pretty good value. But even if you like the value, you could still just trade him.
Yeah, it feels like they're lacking for reliable options. But boy, Zay Flowers over the weekend was like, dang. I want some of that.
And even though the Xavier Worthy thing, like results-wise, it hasn't worked out, you watch it, you're just like, well, I mean, he's going to start catching these balls.
Also, I think with that kind of speed, to say it hasn't worked out, it's a bit of fool's gold. Because just when he lines up and defenses have to acknowledge and match up with his speed, you can't underestimate the space that's opening up for everyone else underneath.
That's a good call.
Especially when you watch to start the season. Kelsey who's coming along now, Noah Gray who's had some decent games. Like all those guys I think benefit.
Yeah. I mean, especially when you watch the offense. Like it's not even just like hypothetical. It's like they are feasting on like 7-yard gains. Or you're throwing the ball short to Travis Kelsey, you're throwing the ball short wherever. You buy time, just line everybody. Like the running game is working because the boxes aren't loaded. I think you're right.
Yeah.
They're playing small ball.
Yeah, 100%. So the speed intrigues you. Well, then we go back to Luther Burden III.
Who has been disappointing, right? I haven't watched
the production just hasn't been there, man. Isaiah Bond from Texas.
Yeah, I do like him.
Trey Felton, I'm telling you, from Maryland. Like, this kid can fly. There's also, Kyron Lacey. If you've been watching LSU lately, you're like, who's this guy?
Yeah.
No one's talking about him, but he could easily be a first rounder. He's got more size, speed, and everything. And then the 2 Oregon kids. Tez Johnson, first and foremost. Evan Stewart, the A&M transfers, played really well, though. Both those guys got injured in the last game and then finished it out.
Yeah. I do remember that Lacey kid. He is good. I think you just got to find, you just have to find something new. Like, they don't have a great size-speed combination. Cortland Sutton, honestly, isn't too far off from that, but he isn't quite that.
You're right, though. You're right.
Size-speed combination or just the route running hands combination or size route running you don't quite have. Like, you hope Devon Vele could potentially be something like that.
Right.
Like, you have so many different pieces, and you're really just hoping 1 or 2 more turn out to be guys you want on the field often.
100%.
And so, but why not take a chance at another? Because you have to find a receiver who you can at least hope makes it to 1,000 yards. Because they haven't had a 1,000-yard receiver in like 3 years.
This is the one position I think, one way or another, I would just about guarantee you will see one selection in the draft used at this position, if not multiple in back-to-back years. Intriguing size speed combination. Trey Harris, who up to last week led the country in receiving yards.
No, he's a monster
at Ole Miss. Yeah,
and that I mean that could be somebody who unlocks your offense too. Like just especially just knowing that school. Like you look back at AJ Brown and Treylon Burks. No, who was the other big one right around that
Elijah
same time?
Moore.
Elijah Moore, little guy. There was one
DK Metcalf.
There we go, DK Metcalf.
Duh, my bad.
Yeah, duh. But they also have a history. Like when you see a big fast guy put up big numbers at Ole Miss, it's very easy to trust.
It's not a terrible point. Big, fast, reliable though.
Very reliable.
On the other side, I'll tell you what all that means. Because big, fast, reliable here is what Toyota is all about. You know, Toyota trucks have always been part of their DNA for generations, and Toyota has built, you know, the durable legends that you want to be in when you're driving around Colorado. Times like this, snow, mountain driving. Kate tomorrow's got to go up to the mountains, a little school retreat of sorts.
Overnight or just?
Well, it wasn't supposed to be, but now the weather's going to be, so she probably will stay overnight. So good thing she's in a reliable car, just like Toyota. Toyota, of course, offers 17 models with available all-wheel drive or four-wheel drive, like the Epic 4Runner. Perfect for times like these. And yeah, they do so much great stuff. Their SUVs are goated. They have so many options for you on low and zero-emission vehicles. So just visit your Front Range Toyota stores at a location near you. AutoNation Toyota Arapahoe and Centennial, Corwin Toyota in Boulder, Groove Toyota in Littleton, Mountain State Toyota in Denver, and Stevenson Toyota East in Aurora, and Stevenson Toyota West in Lakewood. Of course, Toyota, the official automotive partner of the NFL and the official vehicle of DNVR. And speaking of DNVR, time to check out the old events tab at our website, ddnvr.com/events, where everything and anything is going off. Could be an amazing Avs takeover where the man, the myth, the legend, Milan Hajduk in the house.
Crazy.
Holy cow, you get to talk to him. Eric Lacroix, another Avs stud. And I mean, you want to talk to Eric Lacroix.
You do.
His stories are the best.
They are very good stories.
And one of the S-tier human beings I've ever met.
Yes.
Just a fantastic person to talk to. Rest of our Avs crew, also fantastic. You get to talk to them, meet them, have a great time. Broncos tailgates lit. No Sean, Jarrell, Todd Davis there last game. They will be again for every home game, so you get to meet them, see them do the pregame show, get all the food hookups, drink hookups, and you're right there on the sports fan lot at 18 and Feds, right in front of Mile High. Buffs tailgates going on. You know the whole shebang. It's nonstop. Check it out. QR code right there. Link in the description, ddnvr.com/events. Okay, Hank. Before I pitch you and I have some more questions, let me pitch you on some awesome running backs, because this running back class, I mean, I'm excited about this tight end class. I'm excited about this wide receiver class. But this running back class, my friend, and we're not even going to talk about Ashton Jeanty. Promise, only time I'm going to mention him, because forget him. The Broncos are too good. They said bye-bye to Ashton Jeanty. He's going where Bijan went.
Yeah.
Omarion Hampton of North Carolina, who just had a massive week. Good in pass pro, good catching the ball, good lateral mover. And he's got some size, too. He's got some breakaway speed. He might be the Jahmyr Gibbs of this class, Henry.
Interesting.
Now, I don't think he's got Gibbs's game-breaking speed. I think that's gear is...
Okay. So not first rounder.
No, I think first rounder is
I think even without that speed.
I'm saying Jahmyr Gibbs is
that's
right.
fine.
He may not be running a 4.3, but he's running a 4.4.
That's what makes him special, though. Like that's what takes.
Well, I know, but he has to he doesn't. He
does a lot of things
catches.
really well too. Yeah. Oh yeah, there's all sorts of stuff. But that part's pretty nice.
It's really nice. Hampton though, he's going to be up there.
Okay.
I think he's a first round guy. Would Sean do that? First round running back?
I think the question is, would he do that right now? You know, what if the Broncos had 8 straight playoff appearances and they were, you know, they're bringing the team back, then it's a lot easier to justify.
Mark Ingram, for example.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. So would he do that right now? I mean, again, his first draft pick as the Saints head coach was Reggie Bush, I believe.
Yeah, I think you're right. Second overall.
I can't say he wouldn't. I think that is a piece that's missing. I think obviously these Broncos running backs haven't been good enough. I wouldn't be surprised if we leave the season saying Audric Estime is a starting running back.
Let's go, Audric.
Because he's getting a chance this week, and I think from then on.
It's why I'm focusing on some of the receiving backs. Quinshon Judkins from Ohio State, much better at Ole Miss, but he's playing pretty well. I thought he actually had a nice game against Penn State.
He started kind of slow, right?
Yeah. But, I mean, his lateral movement, his combination of speed, receiving ability, all gets you pretty excited. Raheem Sanders, Rocket Sanders, I've been talking about him for years. He had an all-time week at South Carolina. Receiving, and he's got a bit like Adrian Peterson to him, like that running style, you know? I think that's ambitious, but again, I feel like all 3 of those guys could potentially play their way, you know?
Interesting. So, and I think the scenario where running back would make sense is, you know, let's say make the playoffs, maybe it doesn't go all that well, you're picking 20th. Well, if only Jeanty's off the board, can I say his name? Are you the only one? Okay, okay.
No,
well, I can say
good,
you just
good.
can't. Okay.
Yeah. Right. I said that, and then I said his name like 2 more times. So.
But if you could maybe trade down, get picked like, I don't know, 28 and 45, then all of a sudden, you know, a running back trade down is a lot more palatable than just boom, got him, let's move on.
It certainly is. And then, Henry, there's one last pitch I have for you.
Okay.
Brashard Smith, SMU. Just went off this week. He's having a phenomenal season. Top 5 in the Big 12 in rushing yards, and the Big 12 has some backs this year.
Yes.
Scattaboo, R.J. Harvey, DJ Giddens.
Scattaboo, Sac State guy.
Yeah,
I've been watching him a long time.
Yeah,
he caused some problems for Montana back in the day.
Brashard Smith, he's 5'10", 195, former Miami wide receiver. As a high schooler in one of those elite camps, ran a 4.46. Now, Henry, when those kids at 18 are running 4.46s, you know what that means when they get into, you know, college and speed and conditioning and what happens after that.
Yep.
He's going off. He's a monster at SMU. As a running back, right? Used to be a wide receiver at Miami. You picked up on that? Return kicks and stuff.
We like that.
96 career receptions. You know who he reminds me of? Devon A-Chain.
Ooh.
Yeah. Only a little bigger.
Yeah. I mean, that sounds great to me.
Yeah.
It also gives me an excuse to bring up a stat that I have never been able to use.
Oh my gosh, please.
So Bo Nix didn't run a 40 in the lead for the draft. He did run one at the opening and back in high school.
Tell me.
Yeah. 4.6 flat. So as an 18-year-old 4.6 flat.
It's pretty good.
It's pretty good. And you imagine a tick faster and all of a sudden you're like, oh yeah, of course he's doing what he's doing in the NFL.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, converted receiver to running back with that sort of speed, how could you not be tempted?
Miami kid, and you know, SMU, he's a star of that offense. They're 13th ranked right now.
Yeah. I think that's a great option.
And no one's talking about it. I just gave you the scoop. No one's talking about it.
I like it.
I
like it.
That's right.
Yeah. And like I said, I think...
And it's them, right? I'm not focusing on the big backs. I know Raheem Sanders, right? Like I gave you, he's a bit of a bigger back. I'm not going to talk Caleb Johnson.
Ollie Gordon?
It's big back. Yeah, I don't think. Also, Ollie Gordon.
I know, but
not good, man.
But
Stalked
so
through
like
the
not
basement.
a first round pick like people were, but like third, fourth, fifth. Like
maybe.
Eventually, there's a conversation.
I tell you, as far as Big 12 running backs go, I like Smith more, who I just talked up. I like Devin Neal of Kansas, who would be awesome in Denver.
That's the big dude, right?
Awesome.
Lorenzo Neal's.
No, stop it.
There's no way.
Is he really?
But he is the big back,
He's a Lawrence native.
There's no way.
I mean, he's got good size, but what really is his lateral movement, his like cuts and vision, Henry. Then I'd have DJ Giddens. Then I'd have RJ Harvey. And I think Ollie Gordon's my fifth running back in the Big 12 conference. So that's just in his own conference. I think he's the fifth best running back.
I believe Lorenzo Neal. Take that back.
Okay. Well, it was a fun story.
It was.
If you, But Taj Brooks plays at Texas Tech. I might have him ranked higher than Ollie Gordon. So that just tells you, I'm so excited about these running backs. He's not even he's questionable top 5 in his own conference. In this class, he's questionable top 15.
Interesting.
So I'm telling you, we've got options.
That is a lot of options.
And also, I'm focusing more on the receiving back, right?
Yeah.
Like, again, if Audric can be, or Javonte, I don't know, you're David Montgomery, then we are looking for the Jameer Gibbs in this equation.
And I really think
or, the Mark Ingram, we're looking for the Alvin Kamara, right?
Yeah. Audric's at 6.3 yards per carry this year. And it's only 15 carries, and there's also 2 fumbles on those 15 carries.
No,
I think...
Friends of the pod, no.
Yeah, I think we're about to see something. Also, Lorenzo Neal Jr. is already in the NFL defensive tackle for the Chiefs. I didn't pull it out of absolutely nowhere, but yeah.
Okay. We're going to hold off on the injuries.
Okay.
And Drew Sanders coming back made me think of this.
Can we have a Drew Sanders talk?
Yep.
I'm in a tough spot with him.
Okay.
Here's what I think. I think what we saw last year is that he wasn't ready to handle being an inside linebacker.
No.
There's a lot of quick decisions that need to be made, holes that need to be hit, and there were some running lanes that were left open that were his fault. And yeah, I think at that point he's only 22, so maybe that comes.
Yeah.
If it doesn't come, though, then he's an outside linebacker.
Yes.
And as an outside linebacker...
And you just got rid of Baron Browning.
Yeah.
Which kind of feels like the perfect...
That's where you're trying him. That's absolutely... I don't know... I don't know what his strength is right there, right now. Because, again, it's not the burst. I don't know how you're being tackled. Like, I don't think he has the power to just be a bull rusher. I don't think he has the first step to get around... The bend to get around the edge. Because...
I think he has the first step.
Yeah?
I don't think I could see you. I think questioning the bend is legitimate, but I do think the first step is the one thing we feel like that is there.
Okay. The speed and space I really like. And I think that he's just kind of stuck because I'm not sure that he has the freaky enough the tools that fit that outside linebacker position. You like the length,
first step, motor.
But also,
Henry, this is why he exploded as an inside linebacker.
Because again, it's run and chase or like spy the quarterback and charge and blitz and do those sorts of things.
Like, what if I told you the vision is he's just a more athletic Alex Singleton?
Yeah. No, I love that.
Yeah.
I really love that.
But you don't think that's where he's getting used?
As of right now, I don't think that he is ready to be playing inside. And I don't think that they're trying to teach him how to play inside. And so then where does that, you're kind of committed to him on the outside. And again, I don't know that he has the skill set or that his skill set is maximized there. Like it's this gap between the physical and the mental.
Yeah.
Where I'm struggling at the moment. But then also like we know that he's talented. I just don't know how exactly it makes
out of the
plays.
state of Texas.
Totally. So I'm curious to see how it plays out because he's probably going to be back on the field within the next few weeks. But there's just it's like a piece of the puzzle just doesn't quite work.
Yeah, I know.
I've been thinking a lot about him.
You make a good point. Biggest defensive needs right now? Post Ravens, this feels more appropriate to talk about.
It's tough. I mean, what we learned in the Ravens game is you certainly need more depth at safety. But again, depth at safety isn't really a first round type.
I felt that same way.
Type of need.
Might be the first year in a minute we've got a first round safety in Malachi Starks at Georgia.
Interesting.
He's also had some ups and downs this year, and he'll be tested severely against Ole Miss and Trey Harris and Jackson Dart this week.
Yeah, I think in terms of first round needs, like PJ Locke looks good, Brandon Jones looks good. You're set at safety, although again, there's always room for improvement anywhere. Cornerback. Pat, Riley, Jaquan, you love what you've seen so far. You don't have a need there. Defensive line, do you bring DJ Jones back? You can afford to if you want to. And the strength of this defense has been that group in the middle has been so dominant. And I think I would probably just bring him back.
I would too.
But if you don't, then there's room because Malcolm Roach would slide in the starting lineup, which he's deserving of. But again, it's a depth question. You can bump him down.
And just it goes over and over in my head when I'm thinking about Broncos. I'm thinking like Sean's going to prioritize the trenches. Whether that's a pressing need or not, he will build through the trenches. And he's one of those guys who'd rather have his next guy like developing in the building already than having to draft that defensive tackle.
Totally.
Because DJ's gone or whatever.
Totally. My only pushback would be that it's a lot easier to do that when you don't have holes on the roster. Like, eventually you want to be in the position where you have no holes on the roster so you can justify.
Agreed.
So I'm curious. But at the same time, if you draft a rookie defensive tackle, odds are the guy's not just going to be a stud out of the gate.
Yep.
You know?
For sure.
Like, that's just not really how it works.
So that leaves edge.
Yeah. But
and linebacker, huh?
You have Zach Allen, John Franklin Myers, DJ Jones, and then you bring Malcolm Roach and a first rounder off the bench.
Right.
Then you figure it out after the you wouldn't say
that
no.
That D-line would be
rises.
dominant, for sure.
It would be. And then edge, I think Cooper, Benito are your starters. They're more than worthy. Ellis and Drew Sanders, developmental.
Yeah.
You've given Dondre Tillman some reps. He's looked 2 sacks already in just a handful of games. You could always have another edge rusher where there's a reason they traded Baron Browning.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, 100%. And there's, say what you will, but I think there's plenty to like about Sternad and Alex Singleton.
True.
And Cody Barton certainly had a big game. So.
To me, probably the easiest place to upgrade.
100%.
Yep.
It's the middle of the defense.
Totally.
Defensive tackle, depending on inside linebacker, safety.
Yeah.
And safety, probably more just safety depth.
Exactly. Because otherwise, PJ Locke goes to the bench. If you bring in a starter, and he's probably too good for that. And he's a good guy, handle it well, but he's playing like a starter, and you already have him under contract. You know,
that's exactly right.
So it's just an interesting spot.
Jax with a great comment saying, I think LJ Martin playing better than Ollie this year too. Yeah, man. It's been yeah. Sean Grabs, elite edge, first round. Nice.
Yeah. And I was actually talking to Mace about this today. But if you did wanted to go get an elite edge, if Nick Benito finishes this season on the pace that he's on, he finishes with 12, 13 sacks. That's the hell of a trade chip. You know? So if you go first round edge, I would imagine you probably trade him. Otherwise, you just have so many young guys already.
I know.
Like, if you really wanted to add one, which you probably don't need to, you probably go for a veteran.
Yeah.
You don't need another guy who's like 22, 23.
It's a really good edge class.
Yeah.
It's a good, like, developmental edge class.
And if you look at Nick's skill set, though, if you did want to trade a guy, assuming he actually does finish the season with 12 sacks, rookie contract for another year after, like...
No, you'd think
there's
pretty penny.
You could get a really pretty penny.
I mean, he should be a coveted player.
Yeah.
I really like him.
You reset the clock with a rookie.
No,
that's more conspiracy theory than actual.
Right. No, I think I'd love to see him focus on offense. What do you think the plans at left tackle? Bowles is re-signing Bowles is priority one.
I will be surprised if Garrett Bowles is back.
Really?
I mean, there's obviously a path.
So is it Cam Robinson free agency, or is it time to draft one and think of the future of the position?
That's where you trap yourself, because it's really easy to say, well, yeah, just use your first round pick on a left tackle. It's really hard for an NFL team.
Also not it's a weird left tackle class.
Okay. But it's tough for an NFL team to just sit there and say, like, yep, we're just going to have this massive hole at left tackle and draft one at the end of April. You know, like, and so that means you're probably just going to go spend what, $7-8 million on a pretty mid tackle who is going to be eating that much cap anyway, and also isn't going to be that good of a player. And then you draft a guy,
or do you throw like a bag at Cam Robinson, who's like with Bowles, presumably the best tackle in the class? You're going to have to overpay. He's average,
and that's why I would say
he's a little younger than Bowles.
That's why I would say, why not just bring Bowles back in that case?
I would say so too.
But yeah, I don't think Bowles is going to be the answer.
Wow.
Wow. The price tag, I at this point am leaning the other way.
I really thought you would tell me, like, no, it's okay. You can stop grinding O-line tape. We're not in the market.
No, you get to.
Okay, I will keep doing so. I'm intrigued by a lot of guys. You want to do some picks?
Let's do it.
We've got Georgia at Ole Miss, Henry. Georgia 2.5-point favorites on the road. This is a huge one for the SEC, where there are several scenarios of like 6-way ties at the top, 8-way ties at the top. This is one of them. Georgia mixed bag this season. And Ole Miss, that offense is fun. The defense might be better than you think. We just talked offensive tackles. Left tackle Ernest Green for Georgia is going to be tested by Princely Unaminilin and Walter Nolan. There's some great battles on the interior where Georgia's interior offensive line is really stacked. We'll be watching Trevor Etienne. We'll be watching Trey Harris. We'll be watching both quarterbacks. Malachi Starks, the safety I mentioned.
Yeah.
Georgia always has some good DBs. Georgia's defense has Mikael Williams, Jalen Walker on the front seven. Bunch of guys to watch. So, yeah, Dogs 2.5-point favorites, over under 55. Do you have a lean on this one?
I would love 3.5 points. 2.5 makes it tough. I mean, Georgia's just been so disappointing. Like even last
Carson
week,
Beck sucks.
He does.
He's thrown as many interceptions as he has touchdowns.
Is that true? That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Todd Monken just lit up the Broncos. They miss him. This is year 2 Todd Monken list, and it's starting. They're starting to feel it. They're starting to feel it.
I mean, that Florida game, I had that as the end of a parlay. Phew, boy, was that sweaty. I mean, that's a tie game with Florida at Georgia in the fourth quarter.
Dude, they're just not putting teams away the way they used to.
Exactly. And then on top of that, Ole Miss is just so explosive.
I know.
Like, I wonder if they could just outscore them. And that's why I everything inside me says just cling to Georgia. It's Georgia. But then when you think about any other way, I feel like I've got to go Ole Miss. And I just wish I could get that 3.5 or more than plus 115 or
That's the direction I'm leaning in. It's like, it's Georgia, man.
I think they're gonna get.
Like, I think they show up, and it's similar to the Texas game. Like, this is the game Kirby and the guys get up for, and they just kind of like bully this offense.
Yep.
And maybe the under's the play, because I don't believe in Carson Beck. I think the Georgia defense plays up, so 55 might be ambitious.
That's a lot of
And
points.
Ole Miss has talent on defense. Like, they have some real talent on that defensive front. So, yeah. Okay. Bama at LSU. Basically a playoff play-in game, you could say.
Yeah.
Bama 3-point favorites. Jalen Milroe. Tough. That defense lost a lot when Saban left, including Caleb Downs, who is just a monster for Ohio State against Penn State at safety. We're watching the linebackers. We're watching LT Overton on that Bama defensive line. We're watching LSU's offensive tackles, who certainly will be drafted pretty highly. We're watching Alabama's guards. We are watching LSU's tight end, of course. Lacey, the wide receiver. We're watching these running backs, and we are watching these quarterbacks where Jalen Milroe might be the more well-known name here. Nussmeier for LSU is the guy who's rising up boards, and in some mocks is even QB1 or QB2. I've been back and forth. It is at LSU at 5:30 at night. Tigers +3. That's the direction I think I'm leaning.
Really?
Yeah.
This is why I'm taking Bama. Again, I might just be clinging to the name too much, but
you might be right, though.
But LSU, last time they played,
it's a big one for
notably
Kellen
coming off a bye. Last time they played, got smashed by Texas A&M, a Texas A&M team that just got smashed by South Carolina.
Yeah.
So you look at that.
It's a good point.
But that speaks more so to just the SEC. Either there are a lot of really, really good teams in the SEC, and I don't think that's the case, or there's just like they're
like, having a mid-off.
I think I see a big mid-off. And in a mid-off, I take Bama.
It's a good call. Yeah, I'm just kind of like, weirdly enough, Nussmeier might be the quarterback I trust more.
No, I don't think that's wrong.
He's frisky at the end of games.
Yep.
Now, Milroe has those games where it's like, whoa, this guy's insane. Like the best athlete I've watched at quarterback since Lamar Jackson.
34-0 against Missouri.
That was a stomping.
That
also is why, though, I think Bama's riding high. LSU's
off a bye.
Off the bye, coming off that A&M loss. That was great rhyming.
Yeah, I thought you'd like that.
So, yeah, maybe that's it.
I'm going with Bama, but I hate it. Again, like,
Okay, good. Good.
I see these recent weeks as just mid-offs all over the place. Bama's winning the mid-off.
Big 12 football?
Big 12 football.
Buffs? Texas Tech?
I've got the Buffs the rest of the way.
I
Take the
like
over.
it. I
Yes,
like
take
it.
the over.
Eric
Eric
Lacroix
Lacroix
here
here
saying
to take the over. I trust him.
Holy War, BYU at Utah. Zach Wilson, and Jonah Ellis, they trash talking at all?
Not that I've seen. Locker's across, but with a bank in the middle.
Nice.
Yeah.
Chase Roberts, probably the best prospect in this. Wide receiver for BYU. I think he's intriguing guy with a good size-speed combination. BYU, 3-point favorites on the road.
I'll take it. I'll ride the vibes. I wouldn't say I'm totally bought in that BYU's for real, but
Good
I'll take them to keep it going this week.
I think Utah does it.
Really?
I think this is Whittingham at night. I think the magic runs out a little bit.
Here's what I'll say. I've stopped watching Utah because they just are tough to watch.
They're awful.
Yep. And the whole, like,
They've started like 9
playing. Is he not
quarterbacks.
like, and
Oh,
no matter who
spoiler
the
alert,
quarterback
he's
is, well, even when Cam was back, he sucked.
No, he was terrible.
Was awful.
He was awful.
And then the other quarterbacks are also bad. That's why just BYU.
Both offensive tackles might be top prospects in the 26th draft. So watch that when you watch Utah.
This isn't your older brother's Utah.
Yeah.
That's
right.
that's what I'll say.
Right.
Although Cam Rising was still a quarterback. He was just good back then.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
for sure. My older brother remembers him fondly.
Yes. Your grandson will too.
Yeah. So Buffs -4 on the road. You're taking it?
Yeah. Give me the -4.
I worry that's a cheesy line.
I can't be worried.
But I love it.
I can't be
right.
worried.
Who can in this
I'm
life
willing
of
to keep
ours?
riding this until they lose. I can't be worried.
I had Washington State at Penn State in here. You don't have a take on that.
How many points was that one?
13 and a half.
That's
Yeah, the
tough.
book,
I'll lay
book doesn't
13 and a
even
half.
think it's
I'll lay
that
the
close.
13 and a
Yeah.
half.
Yeah, that's for sure. Okay, I've got...
Montana, UC Davis.
oh, please.
Montana number
Whoa.
7, UC Davis number 4. ESPN 2, 8:15 on Saturday.
Oh, my gosh.
No lines out yet. FCS lines come out on Fridays, but...
Oh, would you give me some leans on your FCS picks on a Saturday, please?
I haven't looked through all those. That's the big one.
Well, when they come out on Saturday,
yeah.
would
Yeah,
you
yeah.
like
Oh,
give me
totally.
a morning
Totally.
like, hey, this is what I like?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
That'd be
I'll have
really
some.
great.
But no, that one...
That'd be really great.
Tempted. Avs game's going to end at like 8:30. So I'm thinking like get the sound on at the bar or at least pander to the right people and see if I can bring the Montana people. But
That'd be amazing.
I know. But I also have to get them to commit
And
to
it's
being
late, right?
8:15 start.
Oh, easy peasy. Buffs
Yeah.
will be done. When do the
Exactly.
Rams play this week?
Bye week.
Exactly.
No, I've checked all this. No Nuggets.
Exactly.
Avs should
Okay.
be over at 8:30.
Look at you.
I know.
Okay,
Because I think
great.
this is the only ESPN 2 game of the year until the playoffs. For Montana. Yeah.
Big time.
Yes. Yes.
Big time.
Yes.
Okay. We are off. He has some writing to do.
Oh boy.
We have some roads that are getting icier by the second to hit. And I had such a fun time talking draft with you guys. We will be back next week. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you to Big Hank for coming in and doing his thing. And thank you to our guy, Riley Sorbo, behind the 1s and 2s. Till next time, bye.
We all silly like the mayor.